Hello and welcome. We're going to go through just a condensed version of this clearing versus the typical length of clearing session that I do is about an hour long, but we're going to condense this and make it a nice bite-sized introduction. We're going to work with the intention of aligning my will with the will of the divine for me. So we're going to clear anything that's blocking our ability to align our will with the divine will, right? Like wrestling with our own sense of what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, getting all caught up in the more egoic insistence can be like just completely frustrating, right? Can to like bring us down, keep hitting our head against the proverbial brick wall and not really making any progress towards where we want to be. And I personally have found that the more I just take the lead from the ideas that are granted to me and then figure out, like, is it this step? Is it this step? Like, I don't have to have the best idea for myself. I can receive the best idea for myself. And the way forward, inevitably, even if it requires a lot of work, is satisfying, it's gratifying. It is obviously bringing me into contact with where I want to go. Whereas if I'm just using my egoic will, if you will, I'm oftentimes getting redirected. It's just like you can sense that, like, this, I just can't get through this. So, what we're doing here is we just want to go ahead and bring ourselves into integrity and alignment with the divine will is for us. So, we're going to go ahead and I already did some prep to work. Um, the pendulum's just gonna spin on that one more time, it looks like. And then we'll get into the charts and where we're being directed for our session today. Remember, you can just receive this information. There's nothing that you have to do right now. What we're trying to do is like set ourselves up to release old patterns, old programs, old scripts that we're holding on to. And we're just setting ourselves up to make different choices rather than the habituated ones that have led to our frustration. So I'm looking at my master chart, and we're going to go to the SRT charts, which is the spiritual response therapy modality that I work with. And we're going to chart 2. If you watch my videos at all or work with me personally, you will know that I spend a lot of time on chart 2. So we're working with, it's a fan of about 24 things or so, themes and challenges and soul qualities. So we're just looking at like where in our lives are these blocks appearing? So control, restraint, and harmony. Are there blocks? Yes. Are they programs? Yes. Are they on chart 4? Yes. So we're going to look at what kind of programs are blocking. Inheritance programs. Inheritance programs are like the ones that ancestral traumas, right? They're like things happened to the people who came before us. They did not process it, like it's lodged in their energy field and ultimately in their body. There are biological markers. If you read or even just peruse the book, It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolin, like he's got some anecdotal evidence about, current studies that are able to identify biological markers in the body that translate into like unprocessed emotional trauma being passed down within a generational line, within the lineage, and that it can skip, right? Like it can skip a generation. It's not like every single person in the lineage acquires this unprocessed trauma, but some do. So that's what we're working with here, inheritance programs. And one was the most significant established in Bardo. So the concept of Bardo, if you're not familiar with it, it's just like that life between life space. Like, all right, well, we've died, we're reviewing our life, and you don't have to believe in like a reincarnation for this work to be effective, just so you know. But it's kind of like where you reflect on, you know, how your soul has evolved, what kind of challenges, what kind of experiences, what do you think is going to work for you going forward? Um, and it's kind of like committee. So, most significant happening in Bardo, and how many digits worth of digits lately? I've just been like an enormous number of digits. This is like how many programs are operational. We were just looking at the specifics of the most significant one. So 5, 3, 5, 4, 9, 7, 8, 5, 4, 7, 9, 8. Is that it? Excellent. Is there any further research? No. So some people who practice SRT, they really are directed to do past life research. I am typically not one of them, but I always ask the question just in case. So we're going to look at discordant energies that are anchoring these programs, these inheritance programs. Frustration and forsaken. Like to write things down to keep myself straight. Spiritual suicide, which this is always one of the big heavy hitters. This is like, we come in, right? Our soul comes in. We have this plan, this agenda, this contract, these responsibilities. And we get here and we're like, no. No, I abdicate that. Like, I'm not going to do that. Right? So it's like we take ourselves out of that role that we coordinated for with the divine, and just say, I changed my mind. I'm not going to do that, which doesn't actually get us too far in terms of experiencing a fulfilling life. So I feel like this is always a really great one to address. And then we're going to look at chart 6B. Sorry about the jostling. 6B is blocks to positive expression. So it's basically, if you think of like positive expression as a river flowing, and the discordant energies, they're like big boulders that are blocking the flow of the river. So you can't get that free flowing energy. So removing these discordant energies, removing these blocks, just makes all of the positive expression way more accessible to us, right? It's not dissimilar to, like, if we're carrying this ancestral trauma, these inherited programs, these inherited stories, they are distracting us from the gifts that are also available in that lineage to us. So we're really working just to like get the frustrating pieces cleared, right? It's like heavy lifting. This is not like a very passive, even though you're receiving this is not a passive thing, because once you listen to this clearing, and then the real work begins of integrating it and catching yourself in the old habits, right? You're going to have a little space between yourself and your script, a little space between yourself and what you like habitually do to make a change. And it's going to take effort, and it's going to take self-discipline. I'm not going to lie. But it's worth it. It's like, could not possibly be more worth it. So the blocks of positive expression here: worthiness, truthfulness, and vitality. Is that it? All right, Spirit, can you please clear through all layers, levels, and lifetimes, cellular memory, DNA, all minds, bodies, realms, known and unknown. Clear through all octaves, harmonics, and dimensions. See if I can find a place. I'm kind of have a new setup, so we'll see if I can have a place where I can put my hand where the pendulum swings freely. Not necessarily on the camera, but not hitting things. Clear addictions, double addictions, vows, promises, contracts, loyalties, entanglements, enmeshments to any and all beings involved with these programs. Clear for every being involved with the establishment, maintenance, and perpetuation of these programs. Clear for all physical and non-physical locations where these programs have been energized. We'll just let the pendulum do the work. It's very active. And you can just notice your breath and notice if there's any place in your body that has tension. Not asking you to change any of it, but just to observe. All right, Spirit, are we done? No. Are there other programs that are blocking? Control, restraint, and harmony. Yes. Chart 4, yes. What are they? Conflict. Easy to see why conflict would interfere with control and restraint and harmony. And I want to just take one moment to talk about like the concepts of control, restraint, and harmony. So I am a firm believer that when we are in alignment with our, like, let's just call it soul contract, right? Like the kind of the purpose for the spiritual purpose for our being. When we're in alignment with that, it's like we have restraint. We're not interested in deviating off of that path because that path is so satisfying and fulfilling, right? Control is emergent. Like control over ourselves is emergent. The self-discipline is emergent. The restraint is emergent. And what does that create? Creates a lot of harmony because we're not distracted, like running off the path of like, oh, that thing looks cool. Oh, I want to do that. Oh, I want to go meddle over there. Like stir some shit up, right? So it's like a really important to recognize they're different, like these words have different expressions. This isn't when we are not in alignment with ourselves. We are constantly having to fight for control, right? Whereas we know our divine purpose, we can remind ourselves and reorient ourselves to that with great frequency as often as we need to coach ourselves into remembering how important it is to be in alignment and have that kind of integrity both with ourselves and with the divine. So the conflict programs, of course, can interrupt that, right? Like we experience conflict, say with our caregivers or people we care about or people who we want to have care about us. And all of a sudden, we are shoved off our path. And like the only thing we care about is getting the love that we would be getting from the divine, from these specific people in a specific way, and how neurotic that can make you, and how manipulative that can make you. So, just like reorienting to that, to spirit, to that higher power, to that connection that we have to God, so that we maintain integrity, we maintain harmony with our divine purpose. It's like we're not sabotaging ourselves or we're not creating interference for ourselves. So, when was the most significant established? In the womb. And then, do we need to know numbers? No. Do we need to know further research? No. So, what are the discordant energies anchoring these programs? Unhappiness, escapism, right? The discomfort involved and inherent in being out of integrity with our divine purpose is like, I mean, we see people addicted to everything, right? Like, let's just escape this level of discomfort instead of like, wow, this is really uncomfortable. Let's do something about it. Which, again, I think this works really beautiful because it creates an opening for you to change your behavior so that it really comes into integrity. It really comes into supporting your behavior, supports where you want to go instead of it supports like old traumas and loyalty patterns, which really is kind of like ideal. Like you're free, you're actually free energetically to live a life that you've been accorded versus the life that the people who came before you couldn't quite get to on their own, right? And so you're kind of cleaning that stuff up. Lethargy. So we've got unhappiness, escapism, and lethargy. Anything else? Nope. Okay, Spirit wheel, please clear through all layers, levels. Let's see if I can remember my script. Spirit wheel, please clear through all layers, levels, lifetimes, cellular memory, and DNA. Clears through all octaves, harmonics, and dimensions. Clear addictions, double addictions, vows, promises, contracts, agreements, entanglements, enmeshments, and loyalties to any and all beings involved with these programs. Complete all contracts and break all agreements to maintain the programs. Clear for everyone, every being involved with the establishment, maintenance, and perpetuation of these programs, and clear for all physical and non-physical locations where these programs have been energized. Please do so in 0 time. All right, Spirit, is there anything else we need to clear for control, restraint, and harmony? Are we going to work with any other topics? No, we are not. Is it time for mop up? Yes, please clear 100% of the items on 100% of the charts, clear all programs on any not on any charts, and clear all stacks to infinity. Thank you. So, as my teacher and mentor once told me, like, the prep and the mop up is where most of the material is being handled. It's just the slower portion, which is the part that I what do I want to say? I kind of commentate. That's just to like bring specific items to conscious recognition, but we're working with a lot more material than just that when we are doing this clearing work. All right, pendulum is winding down. Thank you for joining for this clearing. Take good care of yourself, get a good stretch, maybe a walk. Make sure you drink some water. With any luck, you will find more resources here that will feel supportive to your journey, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.